Let's start with the target libraries I'll be using. These are shown here. These are copies of the target libraries generated using SMPE, with the exception of the options library. If I look in the Mod1 library, I can see the default FMN2 popped module. Notice the size here. If I look in the SAM1 library, I can see the various bind jobs. The last letter in the member name is either K or P. K is for packages, P is for plans. The second last letter in the member name is the DB2 version. 9 for DB2 version 9, 0 for DB2 version 10, and so on. If we look at the sample FMN2 popped, notice there are no parameters for the FMN2 poppy macro. Notice there is only one FMN2 SSDM macro, and that is a default entry. Let's look at some modified sample jobs, starting with the bind plan job. If I compare my sample with the supplied version in SAM1, we can see the customization that I've made. I've added a job card. This job needs to run on a different LPAR. The DB2 subsystem name is DFM3. The DB2 library name prefixes are as shown. The plan name for the DB2 sample program is as shown. There are no other changes. If I submit the job and wait for completion, I should see return code 0 as shown here. If you are not using DB2 security, you'll need to ensure that users have access to the FM DB2 plans and packages. This is my modified bind package job. If I compare my sample with the supplied job, we can see the customization that I've made. I've added a job card. This job needs to run on a different LPAR. The DB2 subsystem name is DFM3. The DB2 library name prefixes are as shown. The FM DB2 DBRM library is needed for this job. The plan name for the DB2 sample program is as shown. There are no other changes. If I submit the job and wait for completion, I should see return code 4 as shown here. If you are not using DB2 security, you'll need to ensure that users have access to the FM DB2 plans and packages. Let's look at customization for the FMN2 popped module. If I compare my version against the supplied copy in SAM1, we can see my changes. I've changed the FMN2 poppy definition to include two parameters. List equals all ensures that all DB2 subsystems appear on the FM DB2 subsystem selection menu. Connect equals defined restricts FM DB2 so that it will only attempt connection to DB2 systems that are defined in the FMN2 popped. I've added a single DB2 system for DFM3 as shown here. I could code multiple entries, one for each DB2 system. Notice that I've used the default plan names as shown here. If these plan names are different to the names in the bind plan job, trouble is inevitable. The parameters for the FMN2 poppy and FMN2 SSDM macros are described at length in the customization guide. Let's look at some common problems. I've logged on using an initialization exec that allocates the File Manager libraries as shown here. If I start FMDB2, I get a connection error. If I look up this DB2 reason code, it tells me that either the plan does not exist or I don't have authorization to use it. You will recall I said that the FMN2 popped module is loaded by FMDB2 and contains details for the DB2 systems that FMDB2 can connect to. I can use the ISRDDN program to find the FMN2 POP module as shown here. Notice the size shown here. If I browse the module as shown here, I can search for DFM3, the DB2 system I'm trying to connect to. There is no DFM3, and it's because I'm running with a default version of the FMN2 POP module. Let's look at a second example. I start FMDB2 and get the same connection error as before. I can use the ISRDDN program to find the FMN2 POP module as before. This time when I search for DFM3, I find an entry in the FMN2 POP, so I'm not using the default module. Notice the two plan names shown here. These are not the default plan names, so FMDB2 is attempting in vain to connect to plan rubbish. The same symptoms occur if there is no FMN2 POP at all. When the FMN2 POP module contains the correct plan names and the plan and packages exist, DB2 authorization issues are the most likely cause of connection problems.